What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Bonnie and this is my channel where I talk about all things lifestyle and DIY. So if you're interested in either of those, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on those notifications. But today I'm going to show you guys my DIY coffee table that I made for less than $50 in lumber. So if you guys want to see that, just keep watching. So I'm going to start off by making the tabletop. I am using 2x6 lumber and I'm going to cut them at 4 feet in length. Now I'm going to set my miter saw to a 10-degree bevel so that I can cut the table legs. Each leg is going to be 17 inches long from the longest point to the longest point. So when you cut the legs, you want to make sure that your angles are going to be parallel. I just use one leg as a template for the other leg. This part is going to be optional. I decided to shave off the edges of the 2x lumber just to make it more square and clean looking. You can use a planer to make it more clean looking as well, but I did not have one at this time. This does cut down the width of your table, so you can add more wood if you want to make it a little bit wider. Now that I had my pieces nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and use my Kreg jig to make some pocket holes. After it was too late, I realized that I had screwed the pocket holes in on the wrong side of the legs. I also added pocket holes to the tabletop so that I could have it nice and secure. Once I had all the pocket holes made for the tabletop, I laid them down to make sure that they were going to lay nicely with each other, and I reconfigured them to make sure that they would lay flat. And then I added some wood glue and started using the pocket hole screws to attach them together. Now I'm measuring about 4 inches in from the edges and 2 inches in from the sides so that I can put the legs there. On this one you can see that this is where I messed up because the pocket hole should be on the inside so that you can't see it. Now I'm adding the support pieces. So I cut a 2x2 at a 10-degree bevel and then I marked it where I wanted to put it, and then I made my cut from there. And then I just used that same piece as a template for the second piece. Now I'm adding pocket holes to these support pieces that will go on the edges of the table. And I also messed up on this one because the pocket holes should be on the other side, but it's not a problem because it'll give it a nice rustic touch. You can see that I have the pocket holes on the top side when it should be on the underside so that it's hidden. Now I'm going to repeat the same process for the longer support pieces for the table. I measured about 9 inches up from the bottom of the legs for the longer support pieces and about 4 inches up from the bottom of the legs for the shorter pieces. Look how level that is. Perfection. Now comes my favorite part of this project. I get to distress this table. So I'm first beveling my jigsaw so that I can get a more rigid cut. I don't want something that's going to be perfect or look manufactured. I want it to be natural and as raw as it can be. So the bevel kind of helps with that. So I'm just kind of taking my jigsaw and making random cuts and grooves and nicks in the sides of the table. There really is no method to this, just make sure you practice safe tool usage. I'm just going along the edges, along the sides. I even rounded the corners, and now I'm working down the legs. This will give it that really rustic antique look for your table. And now I'm taking a bunch of screws and just randomly hitting it. And then you can kind of see that I just take the hammer because I got fed up with the screws and I just started hitting it as well. This was probably a really fun part for me too because I got to relieve a lot of stress. And now I'm just patching up those mistakes. I sanded my project with 2 different sandpapers. So I first did a 60 grit to make sure that I got rid of all of that ink printed on the wood. And then I went back with a 220 grit, not too much, but just to give it a nice finish so that I could prep it for stain. This is the first time I'm using a whitewash stain, but I wanted a more cooler tone for my stain. So I applied this to my entire project first. I then went back and used Provincial, which is my go-to stain. It's by Varathane, and I added this to my entire project as well. I really love the way that this turned out. The nicks and grooves took in the stain much more, so it gives that deeper rustic antique look. After everything dried, I went back and I sealed it with polyurethane water-based in a satin finish. And I did 2 coats on the bottom, and then I went back and I did 4 coats on top, just to give it a nice, good seal. Alright guys, that's it for today's DIY coffee table video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this project. If you have any questions about it, make sure you leave them down below in the comments and hit that thumbs up button while you're at it, and I will see you guys next time.